Wouldn't that be some shit if I come all this way and there's no meat? Ah, there is. I gotta get them all out here. Ooh, I might... Okay, I might have to feed them this way. Can I feed them this way? No, I can't. I wish I could carry more, but unfortunately I can't. I can only carry 50. Alright. Here we go. Back to home. Alright, so she hands these illegal items over to the brothers. And this is down in Saint Denis. She hears law in the area, and so she warns the brothers, you know, put these items away. There's law right outside, right around the corner. Don't be silly and get caught with these items. And what do? They get caught with the items. So Daisy goes back to her house and she's collecting honey. Keep in mind her house was hidden. Okay. Let me snooze this upcoming ad so you guys don't miss part of the story. She's collecting honey from her hives and then all of a sudden she hears hooves. You know, lots of hooves. She thought, okay, well, I'm not expecting any guest. So who could this be? And over the hill comes all the White brothers. That was their last name. Or not their last name, that was their group name. Some of their names were White, but... She greets them and says, oh, you know, how can I help you guys? Also, how did you know that I lived here? And they said, oh, Brad told us. She thought, okay. He's like, one of the brothers were like, come inside, Daisy, we need to talk. So she thought, okay, this is really odd. This is really strange. Brad's not anywhere to be seen, by the way, so it's just a couple of the brothers. And they start pulling out their weapons. And they're like, Daisy, take off your weapons. We've got more people coming. And she said, I don't want more people coming. Why are you guys at my house? You know, I don't want them to come to my house. And he said, well, we need to talk. And it's like, okay, well, you can't give me a hint as to what we're talking about. And Wyatt says, oh, Daisy, I think you know what this is about. She's like, no, I don't. Is it about Brad and I? And he goes, no. You see, I got searched, and the lawman asked me where I got these items from, and I told him that I got them from you. And Daisy's like, okay, well, why would you tell them that you got them from me? And he's like, well, I do what I can to stay out of cuffs, and and then Daisy was like, well, why didn't you put them away like I asked you to? And then the brothers were like, the lawman, or law lady, the marshal, had told us and planted this idea in our head that potentially you might have planted these items on us to get us in trouble. And she's like, no, that doesn't make any sense. Why would I do that whenever I wouldn't want you guys to get hurt? And I give you these items and I spent my own money on them. I even let you guys use me as a hostage one time, which is true. Like when her and Brad were talking, she ran into Brad in disguise and they needed a hostage to rob a bank, clean a bank. So she agreed to allow them to use her as a hostage. Never again, by the way. Anyway, She, she's trying to figure out and reason with them, like, no, why would I do that? I don't want anything bad to happen to you guys. And some of them were like, well, maybe you're spiteful about the whole situation. It's like, no. And then she's like, well, the marshal's lying, I didn't do that. I didn't plant these items on you to get you in trouble. And so a couple of the brothers were like, all right, well, Brad's here. We're gonna go get the marshal. And at this point, Daisy hadn't seen Brad for a couple of days, so she sees him and is not really sure what to say to him. She's mildly upset at him, but she cares about him and is just trying to make sense of it all. So he ends up leaving with two other brothers, and then Daisy's left with one of the brothers and another of the posse members. And they're going back and forth, and she tells him, what are you gonna do when you're wrong? And he's like, oh, I'm not answering any of your questions. Things get like kind of heated between them, and Daisy's being asked by, well, before the brothers, sorry, let me backtrack a little bit. Before the brothers go off to get the marshal, they are asking her and saying, we're either going to do this the hard way or the easy way. You tell us that you said something that incriminates us, and you better not be lying. You either tell us the truth or you're gonna get thrown in the fireplace. And Brad's standing right there, and he hears all this, and she can't believe that this man that she got close to and that she got married to is just standing there letting all this happen. Daisy gets her ribs kicked because she keeps telling them, no, I didn't say anything, I swear I didn't. They don't believe her, and then finally they take a vote. We're throwing Daisy in the fireplace or we're not. We're going to get the marshal, and we're gonna bring the marshal back to Daisy's house. We're gonna find out who's lying, and if she's lying, she gets thrown on the fireplace. If she's not lying, then we'll figure out what to do with her then. So she's waiting. Brad and another brother go, and they go to get the marshal, and like I said, Daisy was just left there with the two. They were going back and forth, and Daisy's like, what are you gonna do when you find out you're wrong? Daisy was confident she didn't say anything. Matter of fact, she didn't know much of anything because she was spending so much time with Brad. Anyway, the other brothers come back. There's, Daisy's tied on the ground of her house. At this point, part of her house has been set on fire because the debate had gotten so heated. No pun intended. And Daisy's like, no, my letters are in there. And they're just going back and forth, and the other brothers come back and they say, where the fuck is she? And I'm like, I'm in here. And he goes, alright, this is your last chance. He's got his elephant rifle to Daisy's head. This is your last chance. Say you said something, anything, and you get cut free. Said, I didn't say anything. And then the brothers say, well, turns out she's telling the truth. And so Daisy's like watching one of the brothers, and he goes outside and he says, Brad, come out here. And they go outside, and Daisy's still tied up on the floor, and another brother is talking to her, and she's not paying attention to a word of what this brother is saying, but she hears what's going on outside, and it sounds like somebody's getting hit. so she says, let me talk to big macho man. And she goes, I want you to tell me what you're gonna do now that you were wrong. And he pulls a gun on her. And Brad steps in front of the gun. And the other brother's like, no, 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 don't you kill her. Don't you dare kill her. And Macho Man is like, Brad, say your words. So Brad's pacing back and forth over Daisy and saying, you know, Daisy, it's clearly over. I don't know how else to tell you, but, you know, things are over between us. I mean, it never happened. And Daisy's like, these words are coming from you and not your boy. And he goes, well, it's me saying it, isn't it? And so she's just heartbroken, you know, on the floor. She's still hogtied at this point. Not only can she can't believe that he would allow them to treat her like this, but also she couldn't believe that somebody she cared about would treat her like this. And so at that point forward, she would run into Brad here and there, but it wasn't like it was before. And matter of fact, Wyatt, he was still going on his criminal adventures, I guess one could say, and he was committing lots of crimes and even getting Daisy involved because he knew that she would listen to him because of her affiliation and affection for Brad. So they were kind of pulling at Daisy's kindness and being like, you know, Daisy, we need you to do, you know, it was mainly Wyatt. Wyatt was like, Daisy, I need you to do stuff or do something for me. Can you get this person alone so I can harm them? And Daisy's like, I don't want to do it. I don't want to get involved. And Wyatt would say, it's either you or her, you know, you choose. So Daisy got herself stuck in between two posses at one point. She was trying to do the right thing while also protecting these people that she cared about. Even though they had hurt her, she still cared about them because they were a part of Brad, and she knew that by them getting hurt, it would hurt Brad, and she cared about Brad, so it was kind of a sticky, really fucked situation, being honest. So anyway, time goes on, and Wyatt ends up committing kind of what would be the final crime, and they ended up leaving county. And so Daisy was sad, but she knew that she deserved better because she was digging through her stuff. She came across that note from JD that said, you know, whoever you end up with should basically know how to treat you. And while all the crime was happening and the manipulation of Daisy, she met a deputy. And this deputy was off limits in her mind. She thought, no, I'll be damned if I'm gonna let another man into my life after everything that has happened. I'll not date another lawman. But Mr. Billy listened to her and reassured her that everything would be okay and that everything would be a-okay. He had this saying, a-okay, and Daisy made a bet with him. The bet was, if he said it one more time, then he had to pay her $1,000. But if he didn't, then she'd have to do something.